I just thought I'd make a very quick. Video. A little while ago, I just said, just very quickly, I was walking back from Tesco in Eastbourne, of course, and I just happened to see, well, this was before it closed at midnight, and I saw, what's his name? Scott Stevens, who used to work for Stephen Lloyd office. I might just add, Stephen Lloyd is, if you see my previous video, Yolanda Kenwood, or the lady claiming to be Yolanda Kenwood in the comments, said that Stephen Lloyd was part of this Masonic global network. Yeah, I noticed that people quickly show an interest and then disappear. This Scott Stevens was a CPN, a community psychiatric nurse who worked for Sussex Partnership. He worked for Amberstone, and then he went on to do work for Stephen Lloyd. And he claimed, when I once spoke to him, he said, no, Stephen Lloyd is not a Freemason. Well, Yolanda Kenwood, maybe you could comment on that again for me, because you said in the comments that he and Norman Baker, the MP for Lewis, was part of it. And it was quite funny that Scott Stevens said to me that Stephen Lloyd is not a Freemason, because even if he isn't, tell that to Yolanda Kenwood. And I saw a photograph of Stephen Lloyd on the Eastbourne Freemasons Facebook page, and there's a picture of him at a Freemason barbecue. So even if they're not Freemasons, they're all still in the club, one way or another. But yeah, no. But I saw Scott Stevens when I was buying some food in Tesco earlier, and he looks quite different. Kept my mouth shut, didn't say anything. Last time I was in there, when a member of the council, I approached Councillor Stephen Holt, and he wasn't interested in listening to me or Juliet, my crucial lady witness. Yeah, but this Scott Stevens, before I stabbed myself in the arm with a 6-inch knife in December 2018, prior to that, I'd been trying to end it all, doing myself self-harm, run into the sea. The council had made me homeless. They'd illegally discharged duty, and they're doing that to people who suffer with mental health, but namely those who are whistleblowers, whilst protecting the criminals. And yeah, whilst this racketeering is going on, illegal immigrants coming over here, and they're paying these traffickers to say, tell them that you're an asylum seeker, and we'll do the paperwork. You can get into the country for free and claim everything, claim housing, claim everything, whilst the British people like me are being forced to sleep rough on frauds, everything that's going on. So yeah. But yeah, no, Scott Stevens was in Tesco earlier, and in 2014, when I was still in that private rented flat, I was asking for help. you know what he said to me? He said, I just want to document this before I come to the Greggs thing. He said about my social worker landlord, that cretin who said I knew too much. He said, "Oh, he's the little end of supported accommodation, whereas the sanctuary is the Sainsbury's end." Is that really going to sell it to me? And I filled out an online form a few years ago and they still ignored my online application form, just like everything else. It's rubbish, you know. And Tina Chae from Independent Advice Network, I still haven't reported her to trading standards. Anyone can do that, Tina. Tell me that you're going to help me with all these things. Get me, you know, that you've got these, these law people on standby in London who can help. You know, I've got it recorded, what you said. And then fob me off by saying, oh, go to the listening bank, go to this, here's the number for the, I don't know, the Samaritans. My partner and I have been to the Samaritans so many times. The local Samaritans, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and all you could suggest was the sanctuary. No, I've been there, done that, not interested. And as John Alexander Patterson said to me in the psychiatric unit, you don't want that. You want your own home. You want your own independence. Yes. I couldn't cope. I didn't get the help in supported accommodation. They had a chance to do that. They've had 26 years. Okay? And then I couldn't cope in the private rented flat either. They didn't want to help me in the community. They didn't want to do anything. So it's like, it's all just social enterprise and racketeering, and they want to institutionalize the intelligent people who know too much. So that's who I saw in Tesco earlier. And when I rang on behalf of myself and a frail old lady with a Zimmer from Italy at the Congress Apartments, she was being physically and verbally abused by the staff that own the hotel. Apparently, an independent journalist went down there. Don't know if that's true or not, because we know that what these hotels are being used for. And I rang Stephen Lloyd office on behalf of myself and the old lady, and two obnoxious call handlers at Stephen Lloyd office. One of them hung up on me. I rang back. She wouldn't give me her name. The other one said, "No, I'm not giving you her name. Scott tried to help you in 2014." And they hung up on me. And I was ringing on behalf of myself and this old lady who was in physical pain and being abused. She was in tears. Her daughter didn't know where she was going to go with her mother, there are some corrupt people in this town. The owner of an estate agent, I don't know which one, but I met a 71-year-old prostitute, ex-prostitute from Italy who'd been trafficked to the psychiatric unit a few years ago. She was telling me how, as a Jehovah's Witness, the owners of this estate agent were part of a criminal gang, and they'd filmed her having, on their mobiles, forced her to have sex with the animals and stuff. And John Patterson and I met a South African victim of satanic ritual abuse, a Freemason from Lewis. I put her in there. Yes, you're right, Andy. I do know a lot. I do. I certainly do. And I'm still here, and I'm still here to tell the tale. I say the tale, it's ongoing. But, Scott Stevens, the CPN who worked for Stephen Lloyd, who, according to Yolanda Kenwood, is part of this Masonic network, telling me he's not a Freemason, whatever. Was it not bad enough that your office hung up on me when I rang on behalf of an old lady? You don't even know what you lower level Freemasons have got yourselves involved in. You don't know what you have given your heart to, what darkness and the spirit behind it, because you haven't even bothered to do the research. So for all the problems in your life, you're inviting them in. You're saying, come on in. It's an open doorway. It's a portal. Anyway, so there we go. The woman who works in the laundrette no longer works in there, Sally. She told Scott that I didn't want to go back into supported accommodation. That was back in 2014. And apparently he said to her, it might just have to be just that. Yeah, because I really want to go as a victim of attempted rape. I really want to go back in there with sex offenders when I've put someone on a sex offenders register. Of course I do. Of course I do. I want to end up institutionalized. My mother would be 84 and she realized that it was all just institutionalized rubbish. And then she died. My mother would be 84 now. Yeah, she should have stayed at sea. But like this lady from the laundrette, well, my mother's 20 years older than Sally. I question a lot of things, because this lady from the laundrette who told Scott Stevens Bryony doesn't want to go back into supported accommodation, she was on the housing register for 30 years. And I do question everything now, because it's like that strange woman that I spoke to before I found out that she was a funny person. This disabled woman on YouTube. I could tell from the photos that she'd been a Mormon, because there's a photograph of her back in the 80s with her children, and it says Church of Latter-day Saints. And the Luciferians have basically infiltrated every institution, including the Tavistock of Human Relations, is where the Committee of 300 is connected up. At Belmore Road, the property I'm keeping away from for my safety, I met a woman who her and her son were victims of this child psychologist who was struck off, made millions out of the corruption, and his face was on the front page of the Daily Mail. She was a child client and worked for, in adulthood, the Tavistock Institute. She grew up in the same area as Adamant, whose dad was in the military, and there's that MK Ultra, British MK Ultra, around that area. I've met a lot of very interesting people, and I question everything, because this lady who told Scott Stevens that I didn't want to go back into supported accommodation, she was on the housing register for 30 years. 30 years. And she came from a middle class background like me and my mother. My mother went to an all-girls school. She had a privileged upbringing during the war. And Sally went to Moira House. Is it called Moira House? The famous girls' school in Eastbourne. And she described a ritual that they did with the children that sounds so deeply traumatic. It's not surprised how people turn out, how they stripped them naked and did this ritual to... And she's such a nice person. She's on the same level as me and my late mother. And I'm just so glad my mother didn't board, because she would have had to have been put through something like that. So yeah, so they're the people who get treated. We're the ones who get treated like shit. And on the we're walking on the way back here. I've got to keep my voice down now because there have been people tiptoeing backwards and forwards. This YouTube video could get taken down. I am aware of that, and I know that that there could be people from this GCHQ and whatnot watching these videos. I don't know. Walking on the way back here from the seafront, they're outside the Strand Hotel, which has been closed down and used for illegal immigrants. And they're on the beach, sitting there, because they're bored. It's gone midnight. One of them whistles anyway towards me and throws a bottle. And I'm just biting my teeth like this and looking in the other direction. Because here I am, homeless, life put in danger, crimes committed against me. I've been collecting recycling in all these hotels that I've self-funded all these years. I moved to Eastbourne 17 years ago from the foyer, which is a place that's used for 16 to 25-year-olds. It's exactly the same. Exactly the same. And the people outside the door. People outside. Shh. And basically, they're earwigging. See, there are people outside who tiptoe past, and I can't stand these places. But anyway, I moved to this town 17 years ago. 17 years ago. You know, I come from Seaford and I went to New Haven Foyer and then back here. No different. Young people taking drugs. Everything. It's all part of the human trafficking thing. So anyway, if you read my description and the title, this is leverage. So basically, I made a YouTube video a few months ago, more than a few months ago. When was it? Was it February? Some time ago, I'd been harassed by a demented redhead witch called Jean, who claimed to work for Sussex Partnership. But like a lot of these psychopaths, they're more like patients. I've been sitting with a couple of old men, and one of them, well, both of them are very vulnerable. I've been talking to them, minding my own business, talking to them, and she just harassed me. My coat. I will know all about health and safety. Mind your cup of tea, and just acting weird. And I thought, oh my gosh, she's a funny one. And then she brought up the mental health system and how people work hard. I said, oh, okay. Well, I said, I disagree. No, you've had it easy. I didn't even know this woman. The men did, because one of them said, oh, her name's Jean. This is very peculiar behaviour. And when I said, look, could you leave me alone? I'm with these gentlemen. Right, that's it. And she got up. Nutter. Absolute nutter. I always knew, though, even when I was a child, I knew that Eastbourne, because my mum had problems with some funny people in this town. You know, they're obnoxious, rude people down here anyway. They're so up their own arses. It's unbelievable. But, you know, I don't know where they come from. I don't know if it's inbreed, if it's just what it is, but people down here, the Northerners don't like people down here. I'm realising now that Northerners are more friendly. But I've spent my whole life down here, apart from the first 4 years of my life. But it's only when you're actually living in this damn town that you see where these British comedies come from, especially the black ones. It's just nutters. But Dan, the security guard, said to me the way she acted was as if I'd come at her with a knife. She was looking for a reaction. A total, utter narcissist. So I just let her do what she was doing because that's what she wanted. So when I went to the counter, they were like, all very reactive because they'd listened to what this woman, you hear her whispering talking in the corner, like a real, like, you know, mouth on her, like gossipy. Anyway, I documented it on YouTube, and I made my phone calls on YouTube so you could hear them, and I was offered a £10 voucher and as apology. Guess what? This actress, this was earlier on in the month. This was the 1st of July, so this is just over 2 weeks ago. This actress who did a voice for Captain Scarlet or something or other, she lives on the seafront somewhere along here. And in the same Eastbourne Greggs, she found a tooth in her sausage roll. And she got a £15 apology for that. Only £5 less than what I got for this demented woman. I didn't actually want a £10 apology, a £10 gift voucher from Greggs. I wanted a serious apology because what that woman did was serious harassment. But yeah, so fast forward to July, and we've got this actress who's found a tooth in her sausage roll, been offered £15 voucher from Greggs, and she's appalled by it, and quite rightly so. So I'm going to use this as leverage. So my review on TripAdvisor, this is the weird thing. My review on TripAdvisor from 2016 mysteriously disappeared, where I'd said how generous Savannah and Connor were. They'd give me free cakes every time I went in there. They'd give me a free cake or an extra tea stamp. And then that happened. This demented Jean, who claims she worked for Meadowfield in psychiatric unit, harassing me, intimidating me, causing me distress, and she works for a hospital. And I'm in constant distress over. I was even abused at the St Wilfrid's Hospice where my mother died, and I suggested my mother go there. And I have to live with that. A demented woman called Ella Williams, a care coordinator whom I've never met before, who gave me her card and said, "You got help from Rav, the counsellor." And she shooed away nurses who nursed my dying mother. And it's exactly what happened at the Lighthouse practice. So this is narcissistic gang stalking when you speak out. I know my purpose on earth. They don't. That's the problem. They're so insecure, these individuals. They've got no purpose whatsoever. But this actress, thank you very much for that. I'm going to use it. And if I ever bump into you, that would be good. Perhaps we can share stories, because she must be about my late mother's age, 84. And yeah, so there we go. That's all I wanted to say. Just to wrap up the evening. I've been feeling very suicidal. I've been feeling, all of that. You're going to call Sussex Police now so that PC Franklin Lester will burst in here. same police officer who patrols the town, who bullies people. The same police officer who arrested me on a fraud after I phoned 999 and recorded a demented licensee threatening to beat me senseless in my own council home. I've got the recording. I'm not going to keep playing it. Anyway, there we go. No, I've got to get a life. I've got to move on from all these losers. So there we go. Thank you for watching. And yes, for what's left of the evening, good night. Thank you.